Hello and welcome back to the lab. So today on the bench we have something a little bit different. A couple weeks ago, a friend of mine messaged me saying that he had an old device and he didn't even know what it was, but if I was interested in it, he would send it to me for free. He sent me a photo of it and I knew right away that it was some sort of amplifier. And I said, "Yeah, I'd love to do that. Um, Maybe I can make a project and make a video of it and put it on my channel." So here it is. A quick Google search showed me that it is the amplifier from a 1946 Packard Pla-Mor jukebox. So this is a jukebox amplifier from 1946. And my friend didn't even know what it was, but he gave it to me for free. And I thought I might try to bring it back to life and maybe get it working again. When I received it, it had 80 years worth of filth and dirt and all kinds of stuff on it. He had it in his barn that was on the property when he purchased the property, so he had no idea where it came from or how it got there or anything like that. So I spent a couple hours cleaning it off. Um, this unit also had some broken vacuum tubes. The two output tubes were broken, and also the rectifier tube had the indexing pin in the center of the octal circuit was snapped off because someone had flipped the unit upside down and broken off the indexing pin on the tube. But this unit has a 5U4 rectifier tube. It has a 6J5 triode preamp input tube, a pair of 6SN7 intermediate amplifier differential amp tubes, and a pair of 6L6 output tubes. It's supposed to put out 16 watts. Um, Very, very beefy power transformer. That's got to be a 300-watt transformer, and an equally beefy output transformer. Very nice. But this unit supposedly puts out 16 watts of power. Um, I don't dare plug it in or turn it on because it's not in very good shape right now. But we're going to try to maybe bring it back to life. Taking a look at the front panel, we have a volume control, some kind of a strange phono input connector that goes to the record player of the jukebox, of course. And in parallel with that is a standard RCA phono input plug. Okay, nameplate says Packard Pla-Mor amplifier, 115 volts, 60 cycles, 115 watts. So evidently it draws about an amp under normal conditions. Model number 51 and serial number here. Manufactured by Packard Manufacturing Corporation, Indianapolis, Indiana, USA. Nothing to do with Hewlett Packard Corporation, by the way. This just happens to be Packard Manufacturing Corporation that makes the Packard Pla-Mor Jukebox. Now, this jukebox amplifier has a four-wire speaker output connector, and that means that it is a field coil speaker built into the jukebox. Um, that means that the high voltage B plus goes through the field coil in order to energize the the speaker, and in doing so, um, the field coil is an inductor which removes some of the extra ripple in the B plus voltage. Now, I don't have a field coil speaker and I don't intend purchasing one. So we will probably have to jumper that out with either a series resistor or with maybe an inductor to take the place of the field coil speaker. So we can use a regular permanent magnet speaker for the output. It also has terminals for external speakers. Um, this this unit can be switched to select one, two, or three more parallel wired 8 ohm speakers. And you can select the output impedance with this switch, which is frozen, by the way, and doesn't really work, but we'll get that up and going. Um, The unit has many of these electrolytic cans, and we can probably assume that all of these capacitors are leaky and defective because they're 80 years old. So some of them you can see the electrolyte leaking out of them underneath. Some of them you cannot, but I'm going to assume they're all bad. And I'm going to replace them all either with some some caps underneath or with replacement cans on top of the chassis. I haven't really decided how far I want to go with this yet. I really would like to repaint the chassis with this bright red color because much of the paint has chipped off and peeled off in several different spots. I would like to repaint the transformers in black and really bring this thing back to life um, and make it look brand new. Hopefully, I'll be able to do that. Um, there's the fuse holder here. I imagine there's probably like a 2 amp fuse in there. I don't know, but I imagine. Um, a 2 wire power cord. This appears to be the original power cord because it's got some of the red paint right on it from the original thing. Um, and it seems in pretty good shape, but it's a 2 wire power cord, so I will replace it with the 3 wire power cord and ground that chassis for extra safety. Um, let me pull the tubes out and so I can flip it over without damaging the tubes. And we will take a look inside. All right, inside it's pretty ugly. um, I removed the bottom cover from the inside. There were 4 sheet metal screws holding the bottom cover in place. Um, you can see that someone has tried to parallel out some new electrolytics with the defective in electrolytics. You can see where the electrolyte has leaked out on this one. Um, you don't just jumper that out, leaving the old ones connected like they did here. So I'm going to have to replace that as well and work on all of that. This appears to be the same situation. Maybe not, I'm not sure. But I'm going to go through every single component on the inside of this thing. Here's an interesting thing about this amplifier. Because it's a jukebox amp, um, it needs to power on very quickly and warm up very quickly, which is different from a normal tube amplifier that may take 30 or 45 seconds or 60 seconds to warm up. This one has to warm up within 2 or 3 seconds so that the record that you select, you hear the beginning of the song instead of missing the first 45 seconds of the tune. And so, in order to accomplish that, um, there's a time delay relay here. And what that does is for the first few seconds, it adds a boost to the filament voltage on these input tubes. So instead of 6.3 volts, it supplies 9 volts to the filaments of the tubes to heat them up very quickly so that they will work within a matter of seconds instead of having to wait for them to warm up for 45 or 60 seconds. After the first few seconds, that boost clicks back, the relay de-energizes, and that boost clicks back to 6.3 volts so that you don't burn out the tubes. But they have been heated up very quickly so that they will operate extremely quickly. Um, because I'm not going to use this as a jukebox amplifier, I will figure out a way to bypass that whole circuitry so that we don't do additional damage to our precious old vacuum tubes here. You can see that it's full of these wax paper capacitors. I will probably have to test them all and make sure, may end up replacing them all as well. Definitely we'll take a look at whatever this is and clean all that up. Now it's full of these 20% carbon composition, half watt carbon composition resistors. I'm going to go through and check each of them to make sure they're okay. And I probably will end up replacing some or maybe even all of these half watt carbon comp resistors as well. Um, Some of these are those roundies, I think, that will definitely be bad. There's a mica capacitor in the tone control stack. That's probably will be just fine. I'll double check that as well, but probably will be just fine. Um, I noticed that there isn't really any way to adjust the bias in the output of the 6L6s. So I may have to modify the circuit to do that so that we can get this thing operating properly. But I hope to be able to do all of that. This project will take me several episodes, so we'll probably come back to it off and on over the next coming months, in between other projects. And as I do a little bit of work on this, I'll update you with the progress of that. Now, I was able to purchase a service manual for this jukebox. Um, it has the schematic in it, but I don't want to show the schematic on camera because I believe it's copyrighted and I don't want to get into trouble with that. But with the exception of the things I already talked about, the schematic is the same as most other tube amplifier schematics of that same era. Um, Nothing unusual except for that time delay, quick warm up feature that I talked about already. So, this is going to take several episodes, and I'll probably, over the coming months, work on this several different times. And I don't know how long the whole thing will take. But hopefully, I'll have this fully restored and up and running, and we'll maybe get some music to play through it. Thanks very much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and come back to follow the progress of the Packard Pla-Mor Jukebox Amplifier from 1946. Thank you very much.